Have you ever found yourself saying yes to something and then immediately regretting it? Maybe it was squeezing in just one more task, working later than you planned, jumping on a quick call, or taking on something that wasn't really part of your role because you genuinely wanted to help. If you're nodding along already, this episode is for you. Because today I want to talk about something I've noticed time and time again, not just in mentoring sessions, but in myself too. And that's the hidden cost of being too helpful. If you're new here, I'm Holly Copsey, and this is the Visionary VA podcast, where we talk honestly about what it really takes to build a successful, sustainable VA business. Today, we're exploring why one of your greatest strengths could also be one of the things holding your business back. So I want to start by saying something really important. Being helpful isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's one of the reasons so many of us become virtual assistants in the first place. We genuinely enjoy making people's lives easier. We like solving problems. We get satisfaction from taking things off someone else's plate. It's part of who we are. But there comes a point where being helpful quietly turns into over-responsibility. And that's where the problems begin. It rarely happens overnight. It's usually tiny things. I'll just do that quickly. I don't mind. It'll only take 5 minutes. They're under pressure. I don't want to let them down. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, one extra task, one favour, one exception. Before you know it, you've accidentally trained your clients to expect more than they're paying for. Not because they're bad clients, because you've shown them that that's how you work. And I've had to learn this the hard way too. When I started out 8 years ago, I was so eager to please that I created unrealistic expectations and then found myself getting frustrated when clients expected immediate responses and constant access, regardless of the hours they were paying for. Clients won't know where your boundaries are unless you consistently demonstrate and reinforce them. I used to think going above and beyond all the time was how to deliver exceptional client service. And sometimes it absolutely is. But if above and beyond becomes your normal, what happens when you simply deliver what's been agreed? It suddenly feels like you've done less. The benchmark keeps moving, and that's exhausting. And most people think the cost is time, but it isn't. The biggest costs are your energy, your focus, your profitability, and your confidence. Because every time you're constantly giving more than you've sold, you start believing your actual service isn't enough on its own, that you have to constantly over-deliver to justify your fees. And that's a dangerous place to operate from. Clients don't usually value you because you answered emails at 9 p.m. or because you squeezed in another task on a Friday afternoon. They value you because you're reliable, you're organized, you're proactive, you solve problems, and you make their lives easier. None of those things require you to sacrifice yourself. Professionalism isn't measured by how much you overwork. And this becomes even more important if you're building an agency, because if your whole business model depends on everyone constantly being helpful, you can't scale it. Your associates can't read your mind. They can't absorb endless scope creep. And they can't sustainably work with invisible expectations, and nor should they. Good leadership creates clarity, not guilt. So instead of asking, how can I be more helpful? Try asking, what outcome is my client actually paying me to achieve? Sometimes the most helpful thing isn't saying yes. Sometimes it's saying, I'd love to help with that. Shall I quote for the additional work? Or we can absolutely do that. We'll just need to move something else. Or that's outside the current scope, but here's how we could support you. Notice none of those responses are defensive or unhelpful. They're professional. And I think this is especially true for women. Many of us have grown up believing that being accommodating equals being kind, that saying no is selfish, that putting ourselves first somehow makes us difficult. It doesn't. Healthy boundaries don't damage relationships, they protect them. Clients actually feel safer when they know how you work. Consistency builds trust, not constant availability. So start trying to notice every time you say, it's only 5 minutes. Because it probably isn't, or maybe it is. But if it's the 10th 5-minute favor you've done this week, you need to ask yourself, am I doing this because it's genuinely the right thing to do, or because I'm worried about disappointing someone? Those are two very different reasons. Being helpful is a wonderful quality, is probably one of the reasons your clients love working with you. But don't confuse being helpful with not having any boundaries. The best VAs, the best agency owners, and the best leaders don't say yes to everything. They say yes intentionally. Because when you protect your time, your energy, and your expertise, you're not becoming less helpful. You're becoming more sustainable. And that's exactly the kind of business we're trying to build. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of the Visionary VA podcast. I'll see you for the next one on 16th of July. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you follow or subscribe wherever you're listening to the podcast. And if you have 2 minutes to leave a comment or a review, I would hugely appreciate it. Finally, if you're not yet a member of our amazing free VA Handbookers Facebook community, please make sure you head over there and join us too. You'll find the link below. See you next time.